Welcome back to our course on Writing 242 Technical Communication. We're continuing in our process of going through this second section where we're considering the genres of technical communication. Last time we talked about instructions and documentations, and today for this lecture we're going to go into proposals. And so this would be something that's interesting, and you're going to see that there's different types of proposals that you will be encountering, and so keep that in mind. So what we will learn how to write and develop different types of proposals. We'll be using strategic planning and do research to create the content of a proposal. You'll be organizing and drafting the major sections of a proposal as we work through the material. We'll use persuasive style and attractive design to influence the proposal's readers. It's all very interesting things. And so here's probably a useful thing that maybe you hadn't thought about, but in terms of proposals, you can have internal, external, and solicited and unsolicited. So internal, these would be things within the company. Say if you need to submit a proposal to get additional funding, or you want to be working on a specific task, there may be something that you have to lay out an argument of why what you're thinking would be useful. External is there could be things that are requests for a proposal that are out there, but it's basically outside of the company. Solicited means that there is something like an offering that's made public, and so you are then as a company deciding to go after and to apply for that grant, for that contract, whatever it is. And finally, unsolicited is this you're going to an entity, a company of some sort, and basically you can see that there's a strong need, and you have created this proposal that you're trying to let them know that you think that they should be acting upon that. Okay, well, let's get into the writing proposal process. And so for the planning, as is typical, but you notice that these 5 W's and how questions are slightly different. So let's talk about that first. So for planning and doing research for proposals, who will be able to say yes? And what are those decision makers' characteristics? And so if we understand that, once again, you need to know who the audience is. And that's the nuance here for this type of genre, for this kind of writing. Why is a proposal being written? Why do the consumers, the customers, need that? And so why are you the best company to be providing that? What information do the readers need? So think about that. You want to make sure that you include that. Where will the proposal be used? And so think about that in the context. When will it be used? And so is it extremely timely? And so you'll want to be able to be mindful to meet that time frame. And then how will the proposal be used? And those are all things that we want to be thinking. You want to determine the rhetorical situation. What is the subject? What is the purpose? Who are the readers? And what is the context of the use? And going through these questions will help you to frame that. So as usual, we go through the research process first. And a lot of times for companies, they'll actually have templates for proposals, and they know the kind of business that they're in and the kind of business they want to continue to stay in, or markets they want to go after. And so they'll constantly be doing research and refreshing this research so they are readily able to have this kind of information. So do your background research. Make sure you know what is being asked for, what is the state of the art. And who do these customers, and what exactly is the nuances that they're thinking about. Make sure you ask subject matter experts that are familiar with what this customer wants, and utilize that with what you're capturing in your proposal. Pay attention to cause and effects. If you have this kind of capability, what would be the effects? Things that say the customer would know. Maybe you need to be informed, and so you're going to make sure that you provide informations of how what you're providing is definitely not going to have any issues. You can find similar proposals, and this is something that's very common, and you find similar proposals and say maybe 50 to 75% of the work is already done. And so that is going to help to simplify what you're going to need to do. Collect visuals and make sure you have good graphics. That's always something that's quite helpful. And when you're doing your research, make that stuff that you will be able to utilize. Okay, so here we just have another way of looking about that. And so do your background research, internet. You can be looking for things that is published by the customer. What type of printed resources are maybe available? You can be doing interviews. Maybe there's folks at that customer facility or people that used to be associated with it. You can start to get some great information. You want to identify the cause and effect. What is the cause of a problem? What are the effects of the problem? So you want to make sure that you can be showing to the customer that you have a good understanding of the problem and how to go about giving an effective solution. You can find similar proposals, whether it be through company files. Maybe there's things available on the internet, successful proposals that have been awarded. NASA, NSF has examples of things where they show the awardees. You can be looking to your colleagues to help you get this information. Collect visuals, the charts and graphics and photographs that you can be using that will be showing that you have a lot of credibility in a way of summarizing this information in an insightful way that they'll appreciate. Ask the subject matter experts. They can be giving you some potential solutions that you may not have thought about. They may have some previous attempts that they were a part of, and so they can give you that information. And plus, they'll have insights into what the customer will need, and you want to definitely utilize that. Now that you've done your research, let's start to organize and draft this up in a good way. So the basic features of a proposal are just introduction, having a description of the current situation as specified by the customer, to have a description of the project plan. You'll have graphics or graphs that start to give nice summaries of the information that you have. What are the qualifications and past performance that you have that show how you would be a value added person for what you're trying to accomplish. Have a summary, and finally having a budget. And so this oftentimes is one of the criterias that are part of the proposal ranking, and how they do the determination is the technical qualifications and capability, and also the budget. For formal request for proposal, a lot of times the outline, the page limit, a lot of different criteria will be provided that you have to comply with when you're submitting that proposal. So let's look about how we draft the introduction. So move one, you want to define the subject. That's important. Move two, you want to be thinking about the state, the purpose. Move three, state the main point. And so one of the things that you're starting to get into more and more detail as we go, you want to be stressing the importance, offer background information, and finally forecast the organization. So this is all the great way that you're showing that you know what you're talking about and what this customer wants, and you're giving that in a nice introductory fashion. You want to describe the current situation. So you want to define and describe the problem from the customer's point of view. Discuss the cause of the problem. So if you're able to do this effectively and the customer is seeing that, they say that you really are someone that doesn't need to be brought to speed, but you can actually start to articulating ways of coming up with solutions. You want to discuss the effects if nothing is done about the problem. And so that would be important. It could start to motivate the customer that they really need to pay attention to this. You want to use logical mapping to develop your arguments. And so we have been showing graphics as we work through these types of processes to help you get in a sense of what that is like. And finally, draft of the current situation section. So you've done your mini outline for this, and now you can actually write up the current situation section as a result. Okay, describe the project plan. So you want to be identifying the solution. This is where you start to get into how you're going to solve the problem that is at hand for the customer. State the objectives of the plan. Describe the plan's major and minor steps and identify the deliverables or outcome that you will be offering. You use logical mapping to turn your ideas into a plan. So come on up with an outline, how you're going to lay out the material, and then start to draft up this section on your proposal. For the described qualifications, describing the personnel. And so we've talked about a resume. Another term that's used is a bio, when you're not trying to get a new job, but just trying to show the credibility. And it's a streamlined things that show the credibility and the applicability of each of those individuals. Describing the organization, how you're structured as a company, and how that is going to be a benefit and it's going to be able to be leveraged by the customer. And then talk about previous experiences. If you've had previous contracts or previous work, you as a company or as the individuals that you can be leveraging. And then you want to be concluding with the cost and benefits. You want to restate the proposal's main point, the solution. So come back to that. You want to be saying thank you. You appreciate the chance to be able to bid on this contract. You want to describe what the next steps are and provide the contact information. Sometimes this will be a contract person, but it could also be a technical person in case they have a technical question that they need to get more clarification and ask follow-on questions. So both contracts and technical things would be the things that would be included for next step, contact information. Okay, in terms of step 3, think about the style, the design, and the medium, a balance of plain and pervasive styles. So you want to use plain style when description is important, and you want to use persuasive style when the reader should make decisions. So you can be thinking about, there could be some sections that you're going to be using a different type of genre, more of a persuasive style versus other things are going to be a plain style. You want to have an attractive functional design. Make sure you have graphics, page design, and think in terms of the medium in which it's going to be utilized. So paper is still the norm for proposals, but companies are increasingly using multimedia to deliver their ideas. So you will have to be mindful of what is the way that the information for the proposal is meant to be delivered. Use presentation software to summarize, so you can have a PowerPoint presentation that would be showing you that. You can add an embedded or linked videos, and so that'd be a great way to give more of a multimedia experience for the customer. You can create a companion website so they can have the proposal, and then there can be a website that gives them information and more details that they could utilize. You can include appropriate background music, and so this would be domain specific. Some industries, a lot of technical areas, this may not be appropriate, but if you're looking at proposing and say in an area where it is media focused, that would be something where this would be important. So think about your audience and then create a model or display that shows how the product will work. This can be a huge hit for some audiences, and so that would be a great thing to consider. So for here is an elevator speech, and this is something that we have talked about a little bit. But this fits into the proposal area, and so as a micro genre, an elevator speech is a short pitch, but it's still a proposal, and you want to be thinking about it. So these are the things you want to make sure that you have. You want to introduce yourself and establish your credibility. I have a degree in computer science or engineering. I've come here and I've been working here for 3 years. I've had a lot of different experience working in projects or related to things that are valuable here, rather than with a good story. You can say, there's this one experience that I had that quickly you talk about 1 or 2 details, and then you present your big idea in 1 sentence. As a result of my background and that experience that I told you, here's a great idea. I think we could improve this by doing these 3 things. And then you give them your best 2 or 3 reasons why you think this would be helpful. You can mention something that distinguishes you, that because of the award that I got for previous work, this is why I think that I definitely would be a good asset for helping to come to a solution. Offer brief cost benefit analysis to say something like we can get a 10-to-1 return on investment as a result of this with very little or no investment. And then make sure that they remember you. So shake hands, give them your name, give them your card. Those are the types of things that you can be doing that would be discriminators for an elevator pitch. Okay, well, that's going to finish our lecture here. So thank you very much.